Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me. Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. With Imran Khan's long march scheduled to start tomorrow, Thursday, the 10th of November, we examine and discuss the wide and threatening gulf that's emerged between Imran Khan and the army. Remember, this march will culminate within 10 or 14 days in a huge rally in Rawalpindi, Islamabad, and we don't know what the outcome of that will be. So today we ask, is Imran Khan perhaps the greatest challenge the Pakistan army has faced since Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in the 1960s and 1970s? Joining me from Islamabad is someone whose understanding and knowledge of the Pakistan army is unsurpassed. He's the former Director General of the ISI, a former Director General of Pakistan Army's military intelligence, General Asad Durrani. General Durrani has also served as Pakistan's ambassador in Saudi Arabia and Germany. General Durrani, although Imran Khan is demanding immediate elections, and that means he's taking on the civilian government in Islamabad, would I be right in saying that the deeper challenge Imran Khan poses is to the army chief, to the ISI, and perhaps to the army as an institution that traditionally has determined what ultimately happens in Pakistan?
The army has faced such challenges all along its history whenever, it does the so-called political engineering, when it installs certain people that it likes on the power, and after that, the problem starts. I can give you the example. You talked about Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. It also happened in case of Nawaz Sharif. There was a time when we decided to take on the army, and that actually improved his popularity, because the people are keen. People are actually very happy when some people would take on big powers like, let's say, the army, like the United States, like, one speaks tough about India and so on and so forth. So that has happened in the past as well. Right now, I suppose what has changed is that he's cashed on a narrative which is even more popular with the people. At one time, he's talking about, the old political elite, the army, and also the United States. So with such positioning, yes, I agree. There is a challenge, probably also to the new government in Islamabad. But I have no problem conceding that the military also has to take certain measures so that this particular environment does not go entirely against the establishment.
Now, 4 years ago, in 2018, when Imran Khan first came to power, he was very much perceived as the army's chosen man. Without its support, people say he would never have won. Today, he publicly disparages the army by calling them neutrals, and he's even threatened to reveal things that would embarrass the army. How did this relationship go so terribly wrong?
As I said, it has happened every time. Whenever, such hybrid systems get created, they don't function. I mean, that's very clear because of the diffusion of responsibility between the civilians and the military, or let's say the overall defiance, who has taken, who must take the responsibility. If something goes wrong, it's always the other side to be blamed. The army was looking over my shoulder, and that's why I couldn't do it. So it has happened almost every time. And this time, if people think, I suppose it is because of over a long period of time, people may have also become fed up with these musical chairs, with these circuses, and they may have decided it's not about Imran Khan now. It is about, the repeated such experiments which backfire. And at the right time, and that was the critical timing, was when he was removed. Before that, just remind, before that, he wasn't a very popular man. He was supposed to be, as you have already said, someone planted by the army, someone who during his service, during his 3.5 years of premiership, has gone back on so many things that he promised to the people, on the economic front, on the military front, on the foreign policy within the country. And so people used to be very critical of him. But then all of a sudden, when this thing happened, and it was probably only the narrative, or maybe also people's, the past experience with the earlier things, or earlier governments, or the two mainstream parties. So the whole thing came together, joined in a vortex, and then that is where, I suppose, the achievement of Imran Khan, that he cashed on it.
But you said a very important, significant thing in the first half of that answer. You said people in Pakistan have become fed up with what you called musical chairs. I take it you were referring to the repeated attempts made by the army to find a favorite, place the favorite in power, and then remove the favorite when they've fallen out with him. People are fed up with these musical chairs.
Absolutely. I think I couldn't have put it any better than you have. And that is that time and again, it has happened. At times it did not happen. Army did try to take a back seat. I mean, depending upon the situation, depending on who was the army chief, they gave a message that they would not do it. And after some time, they get sucked in for one reason or the other, sometimes because of the opposition, but very often because the man in the power, would also come up. Like this time, one can see it more drastically, that so many things are being dumped on the military. It's not about rightly or wrongly. Yes, of course, the responsibility has to be taken by the institution who for a long time either ruled or was responsible for, certain policies, unpopular policies, or at least was perceived to have prohibited certain things to happen. And every time when it ever happened, people just would tolerate it for some time, and they said, let's see what happens. And ultimately, they also realized that it was never to put a situation right. It was usually the ambitions of the military man that it happened, and that now people have caught up with.
But you're saying something that actually is very serious and very deep, because in addition to the challenge that Imran Khan personally and his party is posing to the army, there is also the underlying frustration of the people of Pakistan who, as you said, are fed up with the army playing musical chairs. That means there are two separate problems the army has to contend with: Imran Khan's challenge, but also the disillusionment and frustration of the Pakistani people. And the two have combined together at this moment.
Yeah, I think the second one is more important because, people understood that under particular circumstances, maybe the establishment had to come in. But they also expected certain things to happen. And they have said that very often. If you have to do certain things, unconstitutional in a way, but for God's sake, take us somewhere. All those things that across the board have been agreed upon that this has had to happen. The government has to be taken to the grassroots, people's door, as they said. Devolution has to take place. Certain people-centric policies have to be made. And they did not happen. They did not happen for a number of reasons. I mean, the elite always comes to the way. The military elite, the civilian elite, the mafia of the political mafia, if you like, or the business community. They have always tried to scuttle any effort that one wanted to make to reform certain systems. And since it did not happen, So the frustration always, and the army had to bear the main burden because it was seen to be the more powerful actor. So that's probably what has happened now.
So then is this disillusionment with the army, because I think that is the right word, is this disillusionment with the army posing perhaps one of the greatest threats the Pakistan army has faced?
Yeah, over a period of time, things have compounded. I mean, there were times, I mean, it's not the first time that people have been unhappy with the military interference. One remembers, after 71 war, the army was certainly not popular because of the result of the war. And before that, whenever, it took over, and regardless of what the performances of Karali Bhutto was when he was removed by Javlak, again, the military was not seen to be a very popular institution. But over a period of time, and that is, infatuation of the people with their army, and that has existed for a very long time. And there may be historical reasons why it has happened. Especially, I can go back, to the post-partition period when the army played a very big role, because those were very unstable days. And so the getting of the refugees, the Kashmir problem, and later on, trying to improve the things in Pakistan by forging certain alliances. I mean, all those things were done to give the people the hope that this type of a leadership can do better than the others. But, a few years, and one finds out that no, a few things may have happened. The economy has improved. The law and order may be better. The charlatans from the other side have been, have been given a backseat. But the production of the result that people wanted. At the end of the day, what has happened? What has changed? Or you are still being ruled by, if not, the mafia from the top, but the local body, or the people in certain localities, they continue to exercise the influence, and they were the ones that army needed more than the civilian leadership.
Yeah.
Because you cannot rule without certain help from the civil society.
I'll just point out for an Indian audience who do not understand the situation in your country anywhere near as well as you do, that you've made a very important point that in addition to the personal challenge that Imran Khan is posing to the Pakistan army and perhaps to General Bajwa in particular, there is what you call the musical chairs frustration and disillusionment that has set in amongst the Pakistani people. And as you said, the second is perhaps the greater challenge the army faces. Against that background, let me come, General Durrani, to certain specifics that have happened in the last 2 weeks. In October, the ISI chief, Lieutenant General Nadeem Anjum, at an unprecedented press conference, accused Imran Khan of asking General Bajwa for illegal and unconstitutional favors, and in return, offering to make General Bajwa army chief for life. General Anjum also said that Imran Khan had established a tradition of publicly criticizing the army chief by day, but secretly meeting him at night. How much truth is there in these allegations?
I do not know about certain truths, but a couple of things later on did come to light. For example, the offer that Imran Khan may have made, the actual offer, I do not know, but I have heard him say himself that yes, he did offer extension to Bajwa if extension was the one that Bajwa was seeking and Shahbaz Sharif was offering him. So he was also prepared to do it. No, it sounded very bad because it seemed that the two sides were in a competition to bid for power. Boli laga rahe hain. I mean, who can give a better extension, a longer extension, and that is where the army might, say, okay, this deal is acceptable. So it was not going to work very well. The second part was the secrets or whatever, he said that he would reveal. You see, Mr. Thapati, the prime ministers do know plenty of things. No doubt about that. They are briefed on certain things. If someone says that he or she would reveal them, it does not go in their favor. Because the secrets given at that particular stage are meant to be kept. and not to be either, used as blackmail or revealed. One has experienced this, that sometimes the mainstream leaders are the ones who are eager to do that, but there are other politicians, other groups with whom you can give a briefing and you can tell, well, this is in all confidence, they've always kept your trust. But two or three of the mainstream leaders, one has known, they do come up, either threaten to reveal them or they have once or twice probably done it. So both these things did not go in favor of Imran Khan, if you ask me.
Let me, at this point, for the sake of an audience in India, actually repeat what Imran Khan said when he threatened to reveal secrets and embarrass the army and embarrass the ISI. His exact words, according to news agencies, were the following: DG ISI, listen carefully. The things I know, I am staying silent for the army, for the institutions, and the country. I don't want to damage my country. But he then added, I can say more, but I will not hurt the institution. Now, obviously, I'm not asking you what the secrets are, but does Imran Khan know things that could make the army and the ISI blush? Does he know things that could embarrass General Bajwa if they were revealed?
As I said, people do know, are privy to certain, things that happened, and they may not be, very complimentary to the people, to the institution. It is possible. At that stage, you do get briefing. I mean, it's no secret that some of the military people, retired people, some maybe even serving, they have misused their powers, they have misused certain authority. But if you say that I'm going to reveal it, it does not go in your favor. And if you, God forbid, if you actually do that, I can assure you it's not going to help Imran Khan. He gets...
On Monday, that's literally just 2 days ago, Imran Khan wrote a letter to the president of Pakistan, who, as you know, is a former member of Imran Khan's party and is presently, as president of the country, also supreme commander of the armed forces. In that letter, Imran Khan demanded an inquiry into how the DG ISI had held a public press conference, and he also seemed to suggest that the DG ISI had breached the Official Secrets Act. Secondly, Imran Khan also wanted an inquiry into the DG Inter-Services Public Relations for holding a press conference where he allegedly targeted the leader of the largest party, in other words, Imran Khan himself. Now, my question is this: if President Alvi agrees to hold an inquiry, won't that be a major flashpoint?
If he does that, and if certain things come out from there, which is very unlikely, number one, people would say, well, these are those things that have happened. But in any case, these, points, counterpoints are being used as political gimmickry. So all these things may make a difference as far as the media is concerned. But as the people are concerned, the masses, whom I said they have been mobilized for other reasons, for them, these things are not going to be important. The mere fact that someone says that we're going to reveal secrets, that will not go down very well. If an inquiry is held, and the inquiries like these are going to take months, if not years, how does that help, except that it vitiates the environment, and it does not help, especially those people in the opposition who are actually demanding immediate action. It cannot happen.
One quick question on this inquiry. Given that President Alvi was once a member of Imran Khan's party and is presumably very close to him because Imran Khan made him president, do you think President Alvi will agree to the inquiry, or do you think he'll be reluctant to do so?
I suppose it will be reluctant because he knows, what is that, the problem that one will be confronted with if you start with an inquiry, with the dust that will be, or the mud that will be thrown around, and ultimately nothing was likely to come out. So he'll probably be very reluctant. But this letter writing and this demand, these such demands to be made on the president, who in the meantime, I think, seems to be a pretty neutral man because he's been trying to negotiate between certain things. He also said he was not very convinced that Imran Khan's playing out that his removal was as a result of a conspiracy, that he's not convinced about that. So he probably is now playing the role that once you become a president, regardless of what party you come from, then you realize your responsibilities and you also see what a bad situation it is. And there, instead of adding more fuel to this fire, one will try and take some other steps so that the diffusion of the environment takes place.
Now, General Durrani, against this background, let's talk about the attack in Wazirabad. Imran Khan has accused Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Interior Minister Rana Sanaullah, and Major General Faisal Nasir of the ISI of a sinister plot to assassinate him. Separately, the Chief Justice of Pakistan has ordered the Inspector General of Police in Punjab to file an FIR, but I gather none of the three people I named are part of that FIR. Only the assassin that the police caught is named in the FIR. My question again is, could there be any truth to Imran Khan's accusations?
No idea at all. But I cannot say that this has happened like this. But the taking of names is again, politically very helpful. I just got reminded, when Benazir Bhutto was coming from abroad, she also gave three names and she just suspect that these people are going to, organize some sort of a conspiracy or to attempt to murder her. So these names are given for certain reasons, which to my mind are to, help you politically, help you in the people's perception. Ultimately, no one takes them seriously. All these things that have happened and the incidents that we were talking about, that has not affected the loyalty of the people. If they were for Imran Khan, regardless of the DGI's conference, they'll remain with it. Those who are opposed to him, they would not buy any narrative that Imran Khan would come up, and vice versa. So people are not going to be convinced because of this gimmickry. They have made up their mind because of certain bigger developments that we have already talked about.
Okay, that's very clear. Imran Khan's supporters may believe the accusations, but beyond the supporters, these are not accusations that the rest of the country has accepted. Am I right?
Rest of the country, I would say those who are not, because they are the ones who keep picking holes in, whatever he is asking for, or the inquiries that may be held, or the event that has happened. And to the extent someone saying, well, since the march was not working very well, so something had to be done so that it gets energized. So this to and fro just continues all the time. That was not going to affect the loyalty or the support of the people. That's my point.
Now, there are reports that whilst the generals, the top leadership of the army has distanced themselves from Imran Khan and perhaps don't want to see him back in power, and clearly given what accusations he's leveling against them, that can be understood. But the reports suggest that the middle ranks of the army support Imran Khan, even if they do so silently. A, is that true? And secondly, if it is true, does it mean that Imran Khan has ended up dividing the army?
The sentiment within the military has always been a reflection of the civil society. People come from the same background. They also get affected by the developments. They have also their, affiliations, their loyalties, their own understanding of things. So that is what my experience is. That if outside Imran Khan's graph has gone up, it has in the last 6 months, I'm sure there are within the ranks also, within the officer corps also, not only the higher ranks, not only the lower ranks, but also in certain of the, I look at, the ex-servicemen, people with my background, who were very critical of Imran Khan during all that period. And certainly they've decided that they also want to now support him. So these sentiments in the civil society, in the country at large, are reflected within, except that they do not talk about them. And I do not know how these surveys get conducted, but they can also be, based on the general, assessment that people carry out within the military. Also, this thing may happen. Sometimes you can also present these results, wishfully, because it serves you. Serve your purpose, or serve the man who's carrying out, or the people, the institution who carry out the survey, they can come up with this thing. The opposite can also happen, and those surveys also I have seen.
But it sounds, General Durrani, as if the issue of Imran Khan has had a divisive impact on the army.
the armies, I mean, the division within inside, as I said, the political or the ideological affiliations have always been a reflection of the outside world, so divisive if you want. They are not, I mean, army is not a monolith. Everyone is not, programmed to think in one way or the other. It doesn't happen. So that has happened. But where I would certainly agree is that because of these developments, there are certain fault lines that have existed, and one has reasons to believe that now they may have actually have been deepened to an extent.
That's very interesting. Old fault lines have been deepened.
Possibly because of the the noise that has been created, because of the position they've taken, because of the worries that people have. Now people say that the time to hedge your bets is gone. Now is the time that you can come and express yourself as well.
The point you made earlier about frustration and disillusionment with what you call the army's game of musical chairs growing, is that particularly the case with young Pakistanis? I've been told that it's the young Pakistanis that are perhaps the most frustrated with this. I'm told that at a recent conference in Lahore of the Asma Jahangir Foundation, there were in fact anti-army slogans being chanted by young Pakistanis present at the conference. So is it the young that are most disillusioned and frustrated?
The youth is, that impressionable age. There they are, they're very prone to taking on these messages and formulating. They do not have to think very deep into it, like some of the older generation would go. They see what is the prevailing narrative, and once they come to a conclusion, that thing spreads like the academics, like a virus, and people do. And this is generally, no one can accept that the youth has been, for a number of other reasons also, even before, this thing happened, right? Even before Imran Khan came into power, the youth was a little more inclined in that direction because, again, their disillusionment with the earlier rulers.
Look down the road for me, Asad Durrani. What will happen when the long march reaches Islamabad and if there is violence? Or if Imran Khan converts the rally in Islamabad into a long dharna, similar to what he did in 2014, which I believe lasted almost for 20 months. In those two circumstances, how will the army respond?
The army tactics right from the beginning, I mean, this is the military wisdom, is that before certain thing happens, you take preventive or preemptive measures. So my own guess is that the march will not be allowed to reach those critical areas where people's hands become, forced. So they are going to be stopped in certain places, ensure that they will not get, maybe not even the territory of Islamabad, but certainly not in those critical areas. So preemption would be done. How many of them will we share? That's a very open question. Just going by, a little, let's say, instinct.
Okay.
And past experience, I think the whole thing is likely to fizzle out.
The march is likely to fizzle out. Is that what you're saying?
Before they reach this critical area, certain things will happen. And after all, how long are going to be people on the road? My guess is that it will not happen to that extent where a critical situation takes place in the capital territory.
I suppose you're talking about back channel talks that are happening to prevent a critical situation developing. But if Imran Khan remains defiant and obstinate, and he suggests and shows every sign of being precisely that, then do you see any form of army intervention, maybe even an army takeover, as something that could happen? It's happened before. Could that situation of a similar outcome happen again?
I was not thinking about back channels when I said that. I'm just making that assessment based on nothing will work and people will insist on coming, and the law enforcing agencies will ensure that it does not, come to that pass where it where people get, where the hands are forced, where people get very
Okay.
panicky.
What
That
about
is
my
what I
point?
think.
What about my point? Is an army intervention or an army takeover something that could be possible?
No one can say that it's not going to be possible. It's very difficult to say considering our history, but I think that chances of army's direct intervention or taking over are very remote, very, very few. Because there are better things that the army can do. It
Can you
doesn't have to.
can you give me an
Like,
idea what are the better things?
yeah, I mean, they can be prevented. The marches can be prevented before they reach certain areas. And in the meantime, there are so many things that people can do, the civil administration, the military mind, so that the marchers or the people who want to now follow, they will also at some stage say, it's not going to be well.
Now, General Bajwa, as you know, retires at the end of this month. I believe it's on the 29th of November to be precise. However, I'm told that as yet he has not sent the Prime Minister a list of 3 names from which the Prime Minister should choose General Bajwa's successor. Does that suggest that General Bajwa is trying to find a way of continuing for a little while longer till the situation is clearer? Is that what you suspect might be happening?
Now, you seem to have better information than I have. It's quite possible that he sent the names, or people have already agreed on certain things, and they are only differing on the timing when it is to be announced. My own guess is that no, I think beyond the 27th of November or whatever his retirement date is, I don't think the Bajwa is thinking of staying on any longer. This has been, on the cards for a very long time. Certainly in the last 6 months or something, one could see. He may have said that here, he may have also, repeated that in Washington, but generally looking at the total environment, one does know that if you continue in that post, it is like, not digging deeper in the hole, as they say, but making the situation even more complex for the institution, for himself. People forget one thing, and that is that whenever an extension takes place of the army chief, it affects the institution more than anything outside, because there are certain systems that are supposed to work. There are people waiting in the line. The message that one gives is the wrong one. I and I alone, etc., etc. And because of that, that decision was taken a long time ago. So he's not going to stay on. But as far as the announcement is concerned, I also sometimes say that why not make that announcement? Just, at least take care of one thing with which on which there is a little, suspense, and that will take care of 1 or 2 things. And taking that decision is not very difficult. This is the institutional thing. Just look at the first 2, the 2 senior most. One of them becomes the chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff. The other becomes the army chief. There's no controversy. And also in the future, you have also put paid to whatever may, whatever happens every time this question comes up. But I do not know why it is not being done.
You have in that answer very cleverly indicated that the best and wisest way of choosing the new army chief is to do it in terms of seniority, and the second person becomes chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That hasn't always been the case. Prime ministers in the past have done what is called deep selection, and it's often gone against them because those are the army chiefs that have thrown out the prime minister and taken over power. But that message that do it by seniority is one that will have been heard by the audience, not just in India, but even by the audience in your own country, Pakistan, who will be watching this interview. My last question, the choice of
on this, I think you've already said that, but on this, the lesson has been driven time and again. If you fiddle with the system, you go down the seniority list, it always backfires. Strangely, it has every time done it. But people, you can trust the people. They never want to learn. And they believe that they can do it better and they can do it differently. The political leadership also has insisted that we must go down the ladder just to show that we can make a choice. And the military sometimes says that this time we're going to do it and we're going to do it differently. So not learning from the past is the common denominator, not only within the country, but outside. But those examples need not be given here.
General Durrani, I hope Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is listening to you, because you are giving him wise words of wisdom. Words that, in fact, his brother could have usefully followed but failed to do, and promoted instead General Musharraf, and shortly thereafter ended up losing power as well. My last question. The choice of an army chief in Pakistan is always a critical decision. In these present circumstances, where the army faces a challenge personally from Imran Khan and his PTI party, but more importantly, as you said, from the mood of the people who are disenchanted, frustrated, and disillusioned with what you call the army's musical chairs, how much more critical and important has it become now?
I think, one can say that I also think visually, not always objectively, that every time these lessons are driven home, that people would have learned. This time, thanks to the change, and I think some of the credit must go to Imran Khan, who cashed on it, created a situation in which ultimately it is quite possible that people for a long time will not forget that lesson, and that is that you do not want to interfere, you do not want to play out that power that the army chief has to the disadvantage of the institution and to the country. And the best thing is try and not only remain restricted to the constitutional role, but the role that in our wise system it is laid out for you, but also see why it should not, or how it should not happen in the future. That future interventions also become very difficult. So as I said, it may be wishful, but it seems so that lesson this time may have been driven home.
You are now giving advice to the next army chief. Behave within the constitutional bounds of your office. Do not push the system. Do not be interventionist. I think this is wonderful, General Durrani. Excellent words of advice from you to Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif about the basis on which he should choose the new army chief, and excellent advice to whoever the new army chief is. Abide by the bounds of the Constitution. Do not seek to be interventionist, because that can have ramifications that can be bad for the army and for the country. General Durrani, I thank you for this interview. Take care. Stay safe.
Grateful. Great pleasure talking to you, Mr. Thapar.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.